It was the day before the wedding. Everyone in the house was zooming around doing last-minute preparations. My parents' home had florists, caterers, and family members running around ensuring everything was ready for the big day. So I wouldn't be in the way, I retreated to the guest room upstairs. I had just settled into a chair when I heard voices coming from the room next door. The door was slightly opened, and I recognized John's voice along with that of his best man. Their conversation drew me in, and I couldn't help but listen. "You know," John said, "I always wanted Lisa from the very beginning. She was the one who caught my eye the moment I met her." The best man sounded surprised. "Really? But you were with her sister. How did that happen?" John laughed softly, a sound that now seemed so sinister to me. "Yeah, I was with her sister at first because Lisa wasn't interested in me back then. I thought getting close to her family would make her see me differently." There was a pause, filled with the muffled sounds of wedding preparations outside. The best man spoke again. "That sounds pretty messed up, man. So all this time, you were just waiting for a chance with Lisa?" John's voice grew more serious. "Look, I didn't plan for it to happen this way. But when Lisa finally showed some interest, I couldn't resist. It's not like I wanted to hurt anyone." My heart pounded in my chest as I listened to John. He had used me to get closer to my sister, all while pretending to care about me. The betrayal cut even deeper now, knowing that I had been nothing more than a pawn in his game to win Lisa. I stepped back quietly, not wanting to hear more or give up my location. This was the confirmation I needed for the speech tomorrow. I gathered myself and walked back downstairs to keep myself busy. The day of the wedding arrived with all the hype and extravagance my parents and Lisa had carefully planned. The historic mansion where it was held was decorated with flowers in every imaginable color. The decorations were fancy, and the catering staff moved so rehearsed like they were performing choreography. I moved through the crowd, greeting guests with a forced smile. My heart was pounding in my chest. The ceremony had gone off without a hitch, and now we were in the reception hall, a grand room filled with elegantly set tables and a large dance floor. As the reception progressed, the time came for the speeches. I watched as the best man, a longtime friend of John's, took the stage. He was confident and charming, and he easily captured the audience's attention. He began his speech with a few lighthearted jokes about John's past escapades. He got a lot of laughter from the crowd. He then shifted to more heartfelt words. He spoke about John's loyalty and kindness. He said John had always been there for him, and he was grateful to see his friend so happy with Lisa. He praised their love and wished them a lifetime of joy and success together. The guests clapped and cheered as the best man finished his speech. John clapped him on the back, clearly moved by his friend's words. The atmosphere was warm and supportive, filled with the love and admiration of their closest friends and family. Then it was my turn. The moment I had been preparing for had arrived. Lisa looked at me with a hopeful smile. She motioned for me to take the stage. My parents nodded encouragingly, clearly expecting me to deliver a speech that would uphold the family's image. I stood up, taking a deep breath to steady myself. As I walked to the front of the room, I felt a rush of adrenaline. This was it, the moment I had been waiting for. I reached for the microphone and glanced around the room, taking in the expectant faces of the guests. I tapped the microphone, and it screeched. The feedback filled the room. I felt my hand trembling as I pulled out the letter and began to read. "Hello everyone," I began. "For those who don't know me, I'm Lisa's sister. First, I want to congratulate Lisa and John on their marriage. It's clear that they share a special bond, and today has been a beautiful celebration of their love." There were smiles and nods from the audience. I saw Lisa relax a little, her eyes shining with what she thought was sisterly support. "But," I continued, "there's more to this story that I feel I should share with you all today. You see, the journey to this wedding has been filled with a lot of pain and betrayal, at least for me." The room grew quiet, the smiles fading from the guests' faces. I could see Lisa's expression change. She looked confused and scared about what was about to come out of my mouth next. My parents shifted uncomfortably in their seats, clearly not expecting this turn. I took a deep breath and began to read from the letter I had prepared. "My parents, Lisa and John, have tried their best to keep this a secret, but John and I were together first. He cheated on me with Lisa, and later on I found out directly from him that he just used to get closer to my sister. This wedding has been a disaster. I was manipulated by my parents, by my greedy ex, and my wolf in sheep's clothing sister, to pay for everything, and I mean that literally. The flowers you see, the cake you see, the caterers here, everything was paid for by me. Against my will, may I add. Lisa and my parents have been nothing but manipulative and remorseless devils in this, taking every chance possible to bleed my pockets dry, to mask my feelings. When I originally told them I wouldn't attend the wedding, my parents said they would disown me. Celebrate this marriage if you want, everyone, but just know you're celebrating lies and deceit. What you see today is all fake." There was more, but that was the gist of my speech. The room was deathly silent as I spoke this, each word like a nail in the coffin. The more I talked, the more I could see the shock and disbelief on the faces of the guests, the anger and defensiveness in my parents' eyes, and the horror and guilt in Lisa and John's expressions. By the time I finished, the room had erupted into chaos. Guests were shouting. My parents were the first to react visibly. My father stood up in disbelief. He tried to shout over everyone, saying that everything I had said was a lie. It was a desperate attempt to save face. My mother was in tears, shaking her head and pleading with the guests to ignore what I had just said, and Lisa and John looked utterly devastated. Some of the guests were yelling, demanding answers from my parents and Lisa. Others were trying to comfort Lisa, while some just looked on in stunned silence, unsure of what to do. The atmosphere was thick, and the celebratory mood was completely shattered. One of John's relatives, an older woman with a stern face, stood up and demanded to know why my parents had allowed this to happen. She said that the family should be ashamed of their behavior, and that this wedding was a disgrace. Her words seemed to ignite a spark among the guests, and soon more people were voicing their outrage, turning against my parents and Lisa. I didn't stick around to see the full aftermath. I walked out, my head held high, and left the venue. Once outside, I took a deep breath of the cool evening air. I felt a sense of freedom and relief, but also sadness for what had been lost. I blocked my parents and sister on all social media and sent them a final message. I told them that I never wanted to see them again.